It is the first truly hot Saturday of the summer. You're standing on your back patio with the skimmer net in your hand, looking down at a swimming pool that was crystal clear 10 days ago. Now the water has a green haze to it, like weak tea, and there is a ring of something slippery forming on the steps. You did what the pool store told you. You bought the bucket of chlorine tablets. You poured in the gallon of whatever was on sale that week. And somehow the pool looks worse than when you started. But here is what nobody behind that counter tells you. A clear pool has almost nothing to do with how much you spend. It comes down to 3 simple jobs, done on a schedule, and the whole routine takes about 30 minutes a week. Today I am going to walk you through the entire beginner plan, step by step, in plain English. And stay with me to the end, because the reason you add your chlorine in the evening instead of the middle of the day is not an old wives' tale. It is one specific thing the sun does to that chemical the moment it hits your water, and it is the difference between a pool that stays clear all summer and one that turns green every July. I'm Larry Mitchell. For 25 years I ran the lawn and garden counter at our town's hardware store, and I watched every bag, bottle, and bucket come across that counter. I saw what folks returned, what they bought again, and what actually fixed their problems. These days I keep my own place here in Ohio, and my wife Diane will tell you the yard is my second marriage. And the lesson that counter taught me works just as well on a swimming pool as it does on grass. Right product, right amount, right time. Now, if you just bought a house with a pool, or you finally put one in, I want to take some pressure off you right away. The pool industry makes water care sound like a college chemistry course. It is not. Every clear backyard pool in America runs on the same 3 jobs. Circulation, which just means keeping the water moving. Cleaning, which means getting leaves and dirt out before they break down. And chemistry, which means holding 2 numbers in a healthy range. That is the whole game. And here is why so many beginners lose that game. When the water turns cloudy, the natural instinct is to buy something and pour it in. The pool store is glad to help with that instinct. A cart of clarifiers, algicides, and specialty bottles can cost you $150 before you reach the register. I watched the same pattern with lawn products for 25 years. The bottles that promise a miracle sell the best and get returned the most. A plan beats a miracle every single time. So let's walk through it together, in the order I would have laid it out across the counter. First, moving the water. Second, the physical cleaning routine. Third, the 2 numbers and how to keep them happy. And then the once-a-week treatment that ties the whole plan together. Keep that question about the sun in the back of your mind, because when we get to the end, it is going to explain every green pool you have ever stood over. I promise it is worth the wait. Before we touch the pump, let me mention something. Because a good number of you found me through your grass, not your pool. The step-by-step approach I am using today is the same one I wrote down for the lawn in a book called Larry's 30-Day Weed Kill Protocol. It is the exact day-by-day system I follow to wipe out clover, crabgrass, dandelions, and the rest in 30 days, and to keep them from coming back. 88 pages, no fluff, just the plan, written for homeowners who are tired of fighting the same weeds every single season. It covers identifying the Big 7 lawn killers, the 7-day elimination blitz, organic and pet-safe alternatives that work without harsh chemicals, and my month-by-month prevention calendar. It costs $17, marked down from $47. $17, against the pile of bottles most folks buy every spring. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, neighbor. Let's go turn on that pump. Step 1 is circulation, and it is the job beginners skip most. Standing water goes bad. It is true of a pond, it is true of a bird bath, and it is true of a $40,000 in-ground pool. Your pool pump pulls water through the skimmer, pushes it through the filter, and sends it back clean through the return jets on the pool wall. Algae has a very hard time getting started in water that never sits still. During swim season, run that pump 8 to 10 hours every day. That is 8 to 10 hours, not 2 or 3. If your pump has a built-in timer, set it once and forget it. If it does not, a simple outdoor timer from the hardware store costs about $15 and does the same job. Which hours you pick matters less than hitting the total, though running it through the heat of the afternoon does the most good, because warm, sunny water is exactly where algae wants to grow. While the pump is on your mind, learn where your 2 baskets live. The skimmer basket sits under the round lid on the pool deck. The pump basket sits in a clear housing right on the pump itself. Turn the pump off before you open either one. Take your time with this. Lift the basket out. Dump the leaves and bugs in the trash. Set the basket back in. A packed basket chokes the water flow, and choked flow is where half of all cloudy pools begin. One more small trick from the counter. Angle your return jets slightly downward and point them all in the same direction around the pool. That sets the whole body of water spinning in one slow circle, and it sweeps debris toward the skimmer for you. Free labor. But moving the water only handles what is dissolved in it. The leaves floating on top are your job, and that is step 2. Step 2 is skimming, and it is the most pleasant chore you own. Take the leaf net on the telescopic pole, the flat blue one you have seen in every pool ad, and make one slow lap around the swimming pool. Scoop everything off the surface. Leaves, grass clippings, the occasional unlucky beetle. In spring and summer, this takes 5 minutes. In fall, when the maple leaves start dropping into the water, you may want to do it daily, and here is why it is worth it. Every leaf that sinks starts to rot. Rotting leaves feed algae, stain the pool floor, and quietly eat up the chlorine you're paying for. A leaf in the net costs you nothing. A leaf on the bottom costs you money. Skim first, and every other job gets easier. Step 3 is brushing, once a week, every week. Algae does not start in the middle of the pool. It starts on the walls, on the steps, and in the corners where the water moves slowest. You will feel it before you see it, a slick, slippery film under your hand. Put the nylon pool brush on that same telescopic pole. Start at the waterline and brush downward, one section of pool wall at a time. Give the steps extra attention. Give the corners extra attention. There is no rush at all, and you do not need to press hard. You are not scrubbing a pan. You are just knocking the film loose, so the chlorine in the water can reach it and finish the job. 10 minutes, once a week, and algae never gets a foothold. Skip a month, and you will meet the green wall every pool owner remembers. Step 4 is vacuuming, and it picks up whatever the brush knocked down. A manual pool vacuum hooks to your telescopic pole and connects to the skimmer with a hose, and your pump provides the suction. Lower the vacuum head to the pool floor. Move it slowly, the way you would vacuum a bedroom carpet. Slow is the whole secret. Rush it, and you stir the dirt into a cloud instead of catching it. Overlap each pass a little. Work from the shallow end toward the deep end. If your knees and shoulders would rather not, a robotic pool cleaner does the same work automatically. And after watching gadgets come and go for 25 years, I will tell you honestly, the robots are one of the few that earn their keep. Either way, once a week is plenty for most pools. Now the water is moving and the pool is physically clean. Time for the part that scares people. The chemistry. Trust me on this one. It is simpler than you think because for a beginner, only 2 numbers matter. You find those numbers with test strips. A bottle of pool test strips costs around $12 and lasts most of a season. Dip 1 strip in the water, elbow deep, away from the return jets. Hold it level for a few seconds. Then match the little colored pads against the chart on the bottle. Test twice a week, and test at the same time of day because the readings drift through the day, and you want honest comparisons. Twice a week. Write the numbers on a pad in the garage if it helps. I do. The first number is free chlorine, and you want it between 1 and 3 parts per million. That is 1 to 3. Parts per million just means a tiny trace, and a tiny trace is all it takes. Chlorine is your sanitizer. It kills the algae and the germs that swimmers, rain, and wind bring in. Below 1, the pool is unprotected. It may look fine today, but it is coasting, and coasting pools turn green fast. The easiest way for a beginner to hold that number is the floating chlorine dispenser, that little blue and white float that looks like a spinning top. Open the bottom. Load it with 3-inch chlorine tablets, the slow-dissolving hockey pucks. Set the vent openings about halfway to start. Drop it in the pool and let it drift. The tablets dissolve slowly and feed chlorine out day after day. If your test reads high, close the vents down a little. If it reads low, open them up. 2 quick safety points, and I mean them. Never toss loose tablets straight into the pool because they will sit on the bottom and bleach a permanent stain into the liner. And always store the tablet bucket closed, dry, and away from kids, pets, and anything else in the garage. Read the label. The label is the law of the land. And remember what I told you at the start about the sun and this exact chemical. We are getting closer to it. And it is the reason some folks burn through a whole bucket of tablets in a month while their neighbor barely touches theirs. The second number is pH, and you want it between 7.2 and 7.6. That is 7.2 to 7.6. In plain words, pH measures whether your water leans acidic or alkaline, and that middle range is where water is comfortable. Comfortable for your eyes and skin, comfortable for the pool equipment, and most important, comfortable for your chlorine. When pH climbs too high, chlorine gets lazy. You can have a fine chlorine reading on the strip and still grow algae, because the chlorine is technically present but barely working. High pH is the hidden reason behind more green pools than almost anything else people pour money at. Fixing it is 2 products with honest names. pH increaser brings a low number up. pH decreaser brings a high number down. Both are dry powders or granules. Measure the dose the label gives for your pool size. Add it to the water with the pump running, walking it around the deep end. Then wait and retest the next day before adding more. Small moves, then measure. Nudging a pool is easy. Yanking one back from an overdose is a lost weekend. That handles the everyday chemistry. But it leaves you with a weekly job, and this one is the closer. Once a week, your pool needs a shock treatment. Shock is just a heavy dose of chlorine, usually a granular product sold in 1-pound bags, and its job is the reset. All week long, sunscreen, sweat, rain, and pollen build up compounds in the water that the everyday tablets cannot quite finish off. The weekly shock burns all of that off at once and hands you a fresh, clean slate. The typical dose is 1 pound per 10,000 gallons of pool water, but your bag will state its own number, so read the label and follow the label. If the label says to pre-dissolve the granules in a bucket of pool water first, do that, and always add the product to the water. Never pour water onto the product. Keep the pump running overnight so it spreads. Keep kids and pets away while you're working, and wash your hands after. Never, and I mean never, mix 2 different chlorine products together. Not in a bucket, not in the skimmer, not anywhere. Different chlorines do not get along, and that is the one genuinely dangerous mistake in all of pool care. Then stay out of the water until your test strip shows chlorine back down at 3 or below. Usually that is by the next morning. And when should you add that shock? At dusk. Always at dusk, right as the sun leaves the water. Hold that thought, because the why behind it is the payoff I promised you. And we are almost there. 2 housekeeping items first, because they will save you a service call. Watch your water level. The water should sit about halfway up the skimmer opening, right in the middle of that mouth on the pool wall. If it drops below, the skimmer gulps air, and a pump running on air will burn itself out. Topping off is nothing fancy. Lay the garden hose in the pool for an hour or 2. And get to know your filter. If you have a sand filter, backwash it when the pressure gauge reads about 8 to 10 pounds above where it sits when clean, which just means turning the valve so water flushes backward through the sand and out the waistline for a couple of minutes. If you have a cartridge filter, pull the pleated cartridge out on the same schedule and rinse it top to bottom with the hose. A clean filter is quiet, cheap insurance, so put the whole plan on one page. Every day, the pump runs 8 to 10 hours, and the little blue floater drifts around doing its work. Twice a week, dip a test strip and keep chlorine between 1 and 3, and pH between 7.2 and 7.6. Once a week, on whatever day suits you, do the Saturday routine. Skim the surface. Brush the walls and steps. Vacuum the floor. Empty both baskets. Check the water level. Then, as the sun goes down, add your shock. That is the entire plan. About 30 minutes of real work a week, and a pool that stays clear from Memorial Day to the leaf net season, which brings us to the part I promised you at the start. Why dusk? Why does the timing of one bag of chlorine decide so much? Because sunlight destroys chlorine, not weakens it, destroys it. The ultraviolet rays in direct sunlight break chlorine apart at the chemical level, the same rays that fade your patio cushions and burn your shoulders. Unprotected chlorine sitting in a pool under a bright midday sky can lose more than half its strength in just a couple of hours. It does not evaporate, and it does not quit on you. The sun simply tears it up faster than it can work. So the fellow who shocks his pool at noon on Saturday is pouring most of that bag straight into the sunshine. By supper, the water barely knows he was there. The fellow who shocks at dusk gives that same bag 10 to 12 dark hours to circulate and clean with nothing fighting it. Same product, same money, completely different pool. And this is also why your tablets and your test strips keep mentioning something called stabilizer, sometimes listed as cyanuric acid. Stabilizer is sunscreen for chlorine. It bonds loosely with the chlorine in your water and shields it from those ultraviolet rays so it can last for days instead of hours. Most 3-inch tablets already contain it, which is one honest reason the floater method serves beginners so well. Your test strip has a stabilizer pad. Keep that reading in the middle of the chart on the bottle, and the sun stops eating your budget. Right product, right amount, right time. The time was the secret all along. And that same idea, right product, right amount, right time, is exactly what I built the weed book around, because your grass punishes bad timing the same way your chlorine does. If the lawn around that pool deck needs its own plan, Larry's 30-day weed kill protocol lays mine out day by day, in the same plain steps we use today for $17 instead of $47. One book, 1 month, and you stop buying the same 3 bottles every spring. Trust me on this one. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So remember the plan. Move the water every day, clean once a week, hold your 2 numbers, and always shock at dusk, never at noon. Tell me in the comments what state you're in and what your pool water is doing right now. Clear, cloudy, or full-on green, I want to hear it, and I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you why the strip of grass right around a pool deck burns out every August. Because it is not the sun and it is not foot traffic. It is something in the splash water, and there is a $2 fix. You've got this, neighbor. I'll see you out on the lawn.